Hey everybody, welcome back to Game Junction. I'm Mark with my co-host Brandon.
Hey, what's up, guys? Back here for another news clip this morning.
Yeah, so we're going over the news article from NintendoEverything.com about the Fire Emblem Engage ROM leak that happened this past week.
Pretty crazy stuff. Not surprised, it's happened a few times, but unfortunately, that brings out the people wanting to spoil and ruin other people's experiences. So
Yeah, there's always
it's got its
somebody out there trying
downfalls.
to ruin someone
Always.
just to have fun to troll other people.
I did want to put a little bit of context I knew before we started the article. The reason being is it doesn't cover any of this. I've seen a few things put out where they're talking about people mass commenting on like Nintendo related news posts and like just fan related game pages and stuff like that are like mass putting spoilers in the comments. So like people are having to block off comments, like they're just removing the ability for any of that on certain things like tweets. Like people are not letting comments on certain tweets because it's kind of a it's kind of disappointing that some of the game community wants to be so toxic, but it's not surprising either. So
Nah, it doesn't surprise me at all. I mean, we've seen it would happen
unfortunately,
in with previous games, with other things and
sure,
stuff like that. It's just
yeah,
unfortunate that you have to like when you get a leak about a game, it's like pretty much for like have to stay off social media to not accidentally run into something.
right. It's a bummer when when you're paying us for a $60 game, you want to have that first experience with the game. Like I It's not cool, but it's gonna happen in any hobby. So
Yeah. So we got the Fire Emblem Engage ROM leaks online. So Fire Emblem Engage won't be around until later this week, but there's a leak for the game's ROM and it's circulated online, which we won't. They're not sharing here, obviously. That definitely makes sense to me.
yeah, sure.
Unfortunately, this appears to be fairly typical for Nintendo. Most of the company's major Switch titles tend to leak at or before launch. While this isn't exactly the best news, there is some interesting information that did emerge from the Fire Emblem Engage ROM leak. It turns out that the game is built with the Unity engine, which is something that most probably wouldn't have guessed. To compare,
Yeah,
Fire Emblem Three Houses was developed with the Dynasty Warriors engine. I don't. I
but
guess we're not going to
which
know
is
exactly what engine they use.
yeah, which is crazy. The Unity engine. I mean, that's what they're using for like Assassin's Creed and
Yeah,
like some of these pretty big AAA titles. So
it's good they're
this is a
putting.
AAA title too, but for the Switch, a little bit surprising.
Yeah,
Also didn't know about the Dynasty Warriors engine, so that's pretty cool.
yeah. So Fire Emblem Engage was made entirely by Intelligent Systems. The studio did help out with Three Houses as well, but Koei Tecmo did most of the actual core development. That kind of makes sense why they used the engine they did.
Yeah, yeah, exactly.
Koei Tecmo wasn't involved with Engage, so it makes sense that there's going to be an engine switch. One other tidbit we're sharing is that the online features for Fire Emblem Engage are powered by Nex, Nintendo's newest multiplayer server system. The title has the Tower of Trials, where players can challenge various battles and earn rewards once cleared. It's also possible to create and share a battle map online after players challenge your map. You can see
Ooh.
how the battle played out. Fire Emblem Engage is due out for the Switch on January 20th, which would be this coming Friday.
That's that online mode. I'll tell you what, I did not know about that, and that's incredibly cool because what that reminds me of is the tower multiplayer game. I forget what it's called for Luigi's Mansion. Weird comparison, but they have like that tower escape where you're climbing up to 100 levels and you gotta essentially, clear each room. Like it's if you watch Sword Art Online, sort of that kind of aspect. Um, so that's really cool. I actually had no idea that this game had multiplayer online, which for a mainline game, that's pretty cool stuff.
I mean, it's good. Also, seeing them use like a stronger engine, trying to like move
Yeah,
the game forward. Obviously, I don't know a lot about the engine they've used in the past. It makes sense with the when
Koei
Koei
Tecmo did
Tecmo.
the
Yeah,
other one.
yeah. I blank on that for a second. That they used the engine they did because I believe Tecmo uses or they're involved with the Dynasty Warriors, so it makes sense why they
That's
use the
it's
same
their
engine.
franchise.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, that makes sense. To be honest with you, I had no idea that Koei Tecmo developed that. But it makes sense with them doing both of the Hyrule Warriors games. The first Age of Calamity, and then they also just did the Fire Emblem that came out last, which was also a Warriors game. I forget what the actual title of it is. So that's cool stuff. on the front, the ROM, the main news, not cool. That's not cool at all.
Yeah.
Um, I I think that's a big issue for people that are going out and spending their money on the game to have to constantly worry about spoilers when they're in a community celebrating these games. I don't like it. I don't support illegal ROMs for newly released games. It makes sense for retro, whole other conversation. But I don't support that for these games where people are working crazy hours to develop these games. A lot of money put into them. Just doesn't make sense to me. So it kind of sucks.
No, I can understand, but I mean, when you get games leaking, this is kind of the inevitability of the way it goes.
Yeah,
And it makes
it
sense.
is.
Nintendo, people can get their hands on like a Nintendo game early. So people want to release it because it's Nintendo. So there's definitely going to be buzz around people want to talk about it and stuff.
Sure. I knew somebody playing Pokemon Violet a week before it came out, before I even had it.
Yeah.
It didn't even ship for me yet. So, yeah, she had almost beat the game before the game even released. So, no names, obviously. I know people that do it. It is what it is. There's going to be spoilers. It's going to happen, and unfortunately, it's probably going to get worse moving forward, especially with the digital age of games and the way that so many hands are on these games, like so many more hands, like. It's gonna happen. It's
Takes
just a
one
bummer
person.
that yeah, it just takes one person. It's kind of a bummer the way that some of the people. This is obviously the 1% of the community, but they're trying to spoil. It happens with movies. It happens with every hobby. So
Yeah.
bummer, but
But there
it's
was,
inevitable.
you take the good with the bad. You have to know what engine it's being used, and you got a little bit more.
Yeah,
Got some news about the online features coming out. So definitely looking
right.
forward to this game. Might be a while
Yeah,
before I get around to playing it, but I'm definitely looking forward to it because it's a series that I haven't engaged with a whole lot in the past. So definitely need to
that's
give this game a chance. But I got so many games in the backlog that I want to play. So
well. I'm
there's only
telling
so
you,
many hours in the week.
it's telling you to play it because it's called Fire Emblem Engage, so you should be able to engage with it pretty soon, Mark.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, I think Three House is the one that talked about the Koei Tecmo developed, not the Warriors game, but the last mainline
Yeah,
game. That changed the game for Fire Emblem, partially because it came out on the Switch. Switch is just hotcakes. But that game was amazing, amazing
yeah.
game.
Everyone I
Sometimes,
no, I was gonna say everyone I talked to that played it, they loved the game.
oh yeah, yeah, it's a fan favorite in the series. I have heard zero negatives, so it's worth checking out. I didn't beat the DLC, so the like continuing story I didn't get to, but it's cool, good stuff.
Yeah, definitely. Let us know what you know about the thing about this leak down in the comments below. Give this video a like, give us a sub, and we'll see y'all next time. Peace.
Peace.